Hey, everybody. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new here. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to use the wisdom of the Oracle to get our topic for today. And we have Treasure Island. And Treasure Island is like this card is about where your treasure lies. And I think that's really relevant for a lot of the other things we've talked about this week about all that glitters and making commitments and things of that nature. But if you could design your perfect environment where everything that you treasured was, what would that look like? What would be there? Who would be around you? What kind of scenery would you have? Mountains? Beach? Lake? Sometimes just taking a step back to think about what would our ideal environment look like can help us in choosing a direction to take. Unfortunately, we tend to live on autopilot so much of the time that when someone asks us what we actually want, we don't know. We don't know what our ideal life would look like because we haven't even taken the time to consider it. So it's no wonder we're not living it, right? And I, I think I know for me, for the longest time, I just did what thought I was supposed to do. I grew up with the understanding that I was supposed to go to school, get a job, buy a house, get married, have kids, work myself stupid until I was almost dead, and then I could retire for like 3 years because that's kind of the retirement age for Social Security now. I know I've been so bitter about that. But I mean, is that anyone's ideal life? I somehow I don't think so. Now, one of the other things about that is that most people don't even have anything in mind when they retire. So that's why they don't live that long after they retire. We have to have a purpose and a drive and a reason to get up in the morning. Personally, I would prefer that that reason be something I choose, not something that I have to do. And that was my why behind wanting to create the life I wanted to live instead of just living the life that everybody told me I should. I didn't like that life. Kind of like food service. Not my thing. But how many of us really prefer having to get up, be somewhere at a specific time to do something that it may not be horrible, but it's also not a driving passion for us? We put in our time, we watch the clock until we're out of jail for the day so we can get a paycheck, pay our bills, and foresee this as our future for however many years we are going to be in the workforce. To me, that was dismal. That was depressing in and of itself. And I didn't really consider other options. I kept trying to find different jobs that I liked or, you know, something fun that I could do when I was off work to bring more meaning and more something into the day to day. I mean, it can become so blah. It's hard to motivate yourself for that. I mean, where do you find passion for that in the morning? Woohoo! Here we go again. And it's not even about creating excitement over accepting what's in front of us. It's like actually creating something that we have that excitement for. And so with Treasure Island, really think about it. What would your ideal life look like? And go deep with it, because I know our first thought is like, margaritas on the beach. Well, that would really not be fun for very long. Uh, we need stimulation. We need challenge. Because if without that, you lose the passion. I mean, it just becomes another job. You got to show up and drink margaritas on the beach all day, and we need some variety. Something that actually is fueled from inside us that we can do, that creates that spark that a, a boxed life just doesn't hold. And most of us were served up a boxed life. That's what we were told that we should want. That's what we should strive for. It's the American dream. And I didn't question it. And again, it goes back to our subconscious mind and what we observe in the first 7 years of life from the people around us. That's what we believe we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act and think and believe. And so I know for my experience, that's what was modeled to me, that's what people did. And your situation may have been different, but again, we come into this world, into families, and that's where our concepts of how to live are created. And that may not be anything near what we were designed for, but we don't know any different because that's what's out there. It's what you do. Duh. And when we start to question it, I know for me, when I finally came to the conclusion that this is some bullshit and I don't want this to be my life. I don't want to do this every day. I don't want to be on the hamster wheel of whatever this is that we're calling the dream. This is not my dream. It's more like a nightmare that you can't wake up from because it just keeps going. And not to sound like I wasn't, hold on, quit back there. Sorry, Cricket had surgery and is still in recovery. It's an 8-week recovery. Miley is restless as can be because she wants to wrestle and have fun. So that's creating a little bit of a conflict. Anyway, so if your dream doesn't look like the McLife that you were told you should have, what does it look like? Because most of us haven't thought about it. And when we do think about it, we don't even know what's possible. We're not. Okay, so if you're not excited about the McLife that you were told you were supposed to lead, then really think about what your ideal life would look like. What would you like to do for a living that would be rewarding to you? And again, we talked about what holds value and your perception, your definition of success, your definition of wealth, because it doesn't have to look like a magazine cover. Very few of us actually will find fulfillment from pursuing the life that marketing tells us that would bring us happiness. And so deep in your core, there is some driving force that would bring you fulfillment. There's just so many options where we can take the experience we already have and start moving it into a different direction, and moving it into a direction that would bring us more fulfillment. And pardon my co-host. These guys are clingy today. I actually snuck off and went to a writer's event last night, and they're on me like hawks today. Like, are you leaving? Are you leaving? But when we invest that time in actually deciding what we want, and we may get halfway there and think, you know what, this isn't really it. But if you've already done the process of creating a big picture vision, backing it up, and coming up with steps that you need to take to get there, the reverse engineering that we talked about last week, you already know how to do that. So all you do is you adjust your big picture, and then any of the steps that you need to take to get there to create your treasure island, your life of fulfillment, because the time's going to pass anyway. And once you start pursuing the steps towards your goal, that in itself brings you this feeling of hope, and you start to get excited in anticipation of what you're creating. Even if it turns out to not be exactly what you want, that drive and that momentum and that passion brings you back to life, and it ignites this force within you that you are not gonna settle. I don't want to make life. I want it my way. So if you haven't already, look at the life that you have right now. There are good things in it. Don't get me wrong. You have good people. There are so many things you have in your life today that were just a dream a few years ago. That was exactly what you were aiming for and you wanted to have in your life. However, a lot of times we stop short of what we could achieve or what we could obtain for ourselves because we don't dream big enough. Go completely outside that McLife. Get out of the box. It is not a happy meal. The box life is not a happy meal. One size does not fit all. And if you recall, if you did go to McDonald's and get Happy Meals, and you were so excited about getting the toy, and they gave you a shit toy, like they were out of the one that they had. That's how I felt about this American dream. Like, I thought I was getting a Grimace. I don't I don't want this. I know I totally just dated myself because Grimace was the giant purple blob from like years back. He's not even a thing anymore. But at any rate, don't settle for disappointment. Until we have a clear picture of where we want to go, we're not going to get there. And getting that squared away in our mind, what could we have? What could my life look like? What would it take to get it there? And I know I talk on this a lot because I think so many of us have just accepted that this is how things are. And there are periods of life that are like that, where it is what it is because of certain circumstances, and it's just a time frame where we just have to kind of suck it up and be like, okay, it's going to be like this for a while. But after that, I can do this. It's not about refusing to accept your current circumstances. We have to do that first to know where to start. Once we embrace where we're at and take an honest look at what would enrich my life, what parts of my life could I make a change that's going to make it much better? How can I increase my joy and my contentment? What things can I bring into my life that are going to make me feel better, that are going to bring me the contentment that I just don't quite have right now? So that is my interpretation of Treasure Island. And again, it's about, what do you value? What is your definition of success? What does wealth mean to you? And really dig into that. Get to know what parts of your life you have just accepted the, I can't think of it. Accepted the standard, accepted the general public view of what life is meant to be, and dealt with it. Don't deal with it. Create your island. Design your island. What's that look like for you? Then break it down and go big. Go big. Because as they say, if you shoot for the stars, if you don't hit, you're at least going to get to the moon. You're going to get somewhere further than where you are now. Take the chance. Dream big. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. And, I apologize that my co-host didn't last there. I hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon.